What is good, everybody? This is your guy Manny, and this is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. So, man, it's been a while since I've been able to come on and talk with you guys, chat with you guys. So, look, I'm excited for the NFL draft. I know this is like a super late stream based off of landing spots, but I have a bunch of landing spots that I actually want to discuss with you guys. So, for me, the draft didn't go as planned. I was not expecting the running backs to be disregarded the way that they were. So I'm going to pull up my little list of draft guys, and then we're going to kind of go through it. This will be a joint podcast, both for the Talking Sports with Manny podcast and the Dynasty Overload podcast. For those of you guys who are not following the new Dynasty pod, please be sure to check out the Dynasty Overload podcast, both YouTube channel, and you can check us out on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcast. So while I'm pulling up the draft order for running backs, there was some running backs that I was excited about. Like, for example, Sean Tucker. I was so excited for Sean Tucker, and he did not get drafted. That literally hurt. That literally hurt. And you can see it was two running backs who got drafted in that first round. Sorry, guys, man. Every type of thing I'm trying to use to pull up these backs is not working out perfectly right now, but we keep grinding. We keep going. NFL draft 2023. Let's just do that. Wikipedia is usually the best. You can go to NFL.com. You can go to any one of these, and then, they get you what you need. So I'm actually going to put this on the screen possibly, but it all started with Bijan Robinson, right? Bijan Robinson going to the Atlanta Falcons. Excellent draft capital, being drafted at 8 overall to the Atlanta Falcons, and also great landing spot. Bijan Robinson goes to the Atlanta Falcons, where he's going to be dealing with Algier. They're going to be letting go of Cordero Patterson. There's nobody there that has a direct path at collecting, work or volume. It's going to be Bijan Robinson. It's going to be the Bijan Robinson show, and I'm excited for it. So for those that are drafting Bijan Robinson 1 overall, even before the draft, after the draft, it just happened to be a great landing spot. No matter where Bijan Robinson went, he was literally going to take over that backfield either way it goes, right? So let's go ahead and share a screen. Found an excellent thing that we can use. Go ahead and use this NFL tracker. Let's see how it looks on the screen. Yes, it looks beautiful. Let's go ahead and dive in. So, plenty quarterbacks. It was 3 quarterbacks selected within the first 4 rounds, but this is not a quarterback pod. This is a running back landing spot pod, specifically for Dynasty football, Dynasty fantasy football. For those of you guys who play Dynasty, you will appreciate this more than those who play redraft or whatever the case may be. So Bijan Robinson going to number 8 to the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, it's great. There's nobody really there. Algier did pretty good last year, rushing for 1,000 yards, but there's nobody in the way of a Bijan Robinson doing what he does. So I love that landing spot. It was excellent. Then the second running back selected was Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, this was a bit of a shocker. I did see Gibbs going in the first round, but I did not see Gibbs going at pick 12. Now, what does this mean? At the time, you had DeAndre Swift. All that meant was, if you had DeAndre Swift, you're pissed off, you're mad, you're angry. Those shares of DeAndre Swift are pretty much evaporating. They're gone. They're useless at this point. We don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping for a DeAndre Swift trade. Then he happened to get traded the next day, goes to the Eagles, which is it's going to go well for him if he gets the volume and if he can stay healthy. It's a great offense, great offensive line. That offensive line is just as good, if not better, than the Detroit Lions offensive line. But what I do love about Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions is that it's a high-octane offense, great offense, Jared Goff, pass catchers everywhere. They drafted a tight end as well. So there's mouths to be fed out there, but they're going to use Jahmyr Gibbs a lot in the slot anyways. Does this impact Amon-Ra St. Brown? We'll talk about this on a whole nother episode. But Jahmyr Gibbs, love this landing spot, especially more after Swift was gone. But when you draft a guy at pick 12, that means this is now a guy who's eligible to go in the top 4 picks of your dynasty rookie drafts. Draft this guy at 102, and you can feel comfortable with that. He is that dude. I think that these two guys are going to be closer than what a lot of people think. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs he's going to have those receptions closer to like a Christian McCaffrey, closer to an Alvin Kamara type thing, that kind of workhorse, that kind of workload for a guy of this caliber. So I'm excited for it. Let's go ahead and keep scrolling. Let's go ahead and keep going. Now, we do know that there was no other running back selected in the first round. So let's go ahead and dive into the second round and see where these backs went, who went in the second round. And, this is the day that you're looking for, that day 2 draft capital for running backs. You're excited for it. So we continue to go down. You see tight ends going, Luke Musgrave. You see like defensive edge going, corners going, guys like Jaden Reed going, collecting, draft capital, being drafted in the second round. So he's another guy people are going after. So the first running back selected in the second round was pick 21, and that was Zach Charbonnet. I'm excited for that. But then guess what? Look at where he goes. Oh, my goodness. I am just like, wow. Zach Charbonnet is now going to the Seattle Seahawks, a team that already has a Kenneth Walker that was drafted last year in the second round. So back-to-back years, running backs going in the second round. Now, initially I was pissed off. I was fading the Zach Charbonnet. I was mad. I was angry. I'm like, Zach Charbonnet was supposed to go to the Dolphins or to the Commanders or to wherever. This guy was supposed to be a 3-down back. Now he goes to share a backfield with Kenneth Walker, who I loved, who was my favorite running back last year outside of Breece Hall. Now he goes here. And I'm just kind of upset. I'm kind of angry. So in my next few drafts, I'm fading Charbonnet. I'm fading him. And I'm going to tell you who I was drafting over Charbonnet, which could be a mistake. Then I have to realize Seattle loves to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. And Charbonnet is going to be more of the pass-catching back in that offense anyways. But still, I was still pretty upset. I was angry. I was mad. It's just crazy to me. Now, we go ahead and we continue to proceed. Let's see. So, guys, let me pause this episode real quick and give you guys some breaking news. I'm in a league where I wanted this draft pick from this guy. This guy took Quentin Johnston at 104. I told him, I will give you Deebo Samuels for 104. He says no. He says no. He says no. He says no. Then the next thing I know, I'm like, this guy trades Quentin Johnston that he drafted at 104 for a 24-second. What is going on? This is crazy. You draft Quentin Johnston at 104. You trade him for a 24-second. Makes zero sense. Anyways, let's get back to the show. Okay, so there was no other running back selected in the second round. Now I'm getting angry. This is supposed to be the running back draft. These guys are supposed to get draft capital. You're expecting at least 2 backs to go in the second round, right? Then now the third round, I'm getting nervous. I'm like, I need some more backs to go. I need to figure out what I'm doing. So we continue to scroll. The next running back goes off the board, and that's Kendre Miller, pick 71 overall. I'm like, I'm loving the draft capital. I'm loving the situation. He goes to the Saints. We know that Kamara is, has the whole legal issue. Not only that, Kamara we don't know how many more years of elite play Kamara has. And drafting this guy, you have Jamal Williams, you have Kendre Miller. The writing is on the wall. The end is near for a guy like Alvin Kamara. And you can see Alvin Kamara possibly getting traded. So Kendre Miller to the Saints, I love this this landing spot. So we continue to scroll. You start to see some wide receivers. Mind you, this is a weaker wide receiver class in this and that. And you start to see these receivers come through. The next running back selected is Tajay Spears at pick 81. to the Tennessee Titans. Not the best landing spot, but guess what? They run a style of offense that is catered to Tyjae Spears, and there is room for him and Derrick Henry to coexist, but Tyjae Spears has to be more of the receiving back. Are the Titans going to trade Derrick Henry? We don't know yet, but Tyjae Spears gets selected at 81. Not overly thrilled with the landing spot, but guess what? I'm thrilled with the draft capital. That means that, hey, this is a guy that the NFL values and sees as a legit RB in this league. 2 picks later, the Miami Dolphins select Devin Achane from Texas A&M. He goes to the Dolphins. So that's the Dolphins running back that everybody's been waiting for. They draft Achane. Maybe not the best fit. I would have loved Charbonnet here or even a Kendre Miller here. I do like Achane, but his size kind of scares me. But because of the draft capital, guess what? I started fading Charbonnet for Devin Achane. Not saying that was a wise decision. I'm not saying it's a great decision, but Achane in this offense, in this run zone offense, is going to be great. Devin Achane potentially could give the Miami Dolphins what they were expecting to get out of Chase Edmonds. So when you look at the Miami Dolphins backfield, you got a couple of old guys in Mostert and Wilson. They scare nobody. It's all going to be about, can Devin Achane perform? If he can perform, he could be a good back for the Miami Dolphins. And what I've tend to do is if I'm going to win now and I need a running back at that end of the first round, beginning of the second round, I am targeting Devin Achane on my win now teams. If I'm playing for the future, I'm grabbing guys like Charbonnet or even Kendre Miller. And then Tyjae Spears is going around that 2.5 to 2.7 range because Derrick Henry is currently there in Tennessee dominating that backfield. So Charbonnet to the Miami Dolphins. Devin Achane. He's been a guy that I've targeted, and I continue to target. So not the best great landing spot, but maybe not the best fit RB-wise. But we'll see. He's smaller. I'm just concerned of his size and can he hold up in the NFL. But at least for the first 2 to 3 years, you're going to get good production. Use this guy and sell this guy when it comes to Devin Achane. Then the next guy that comes off the board was a huge surprise. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who already have Travis Etienne, they draft Tank Bigsby from Auburn. I love Tank Bigsby a lot. And then because of the draft capital, I love him even more. I get that they have a Etienne there, but what I see out of Tank Bigsby is a guy that's going to be a touchdown scorer, a guy that's going to be around the goal line, a guy that's going to, you give him the ball, he can pound the rock, and he could be a perfect complement to Etienne. He could possibly help Etienne's career last even more. You want to make these running backs last even more. So sometimes you have to bring in that compliment back to kind of take away some of the wear and tear that some of these backs are getting. So Tank Bigsby to the Jacksonville. I love the landings. I did not like the landing spot, like I said, but I did love the draft capital. But we continue to move on. So that was it for the third round. At this point, if the running back that you like has not been drafted, you're either pissed off or you're thinking maybe that back is not as good as I was thinking, right? At this point. So we continue to scroll. The very next running back to get selected is Roschon Johnson to the Chicago Bears. He goes to a team where their best running back is Justin Fields. So now you have Roschon Johnson here with the Bears. He's going to be a workhorse when he finally starts to get the ball. Roschon Johnson is a back that I've been targeting in my rookie drafts because you're going to start to hear during camp. Roschon Johnson is getting first-team reps. Who's out there, first of all, in Chicago, right? You have Deontay Foreman. Woohoo. You have another guy that I can't even think of right now. Khalil Herbert, who has some game. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a three-headed monster out there, but then with also Justin Fields. I think that Roschon Johnson can beat out both guys and be the lead back in the Bears offense, but only time will tell. So you continue to scroll down in this fourth round, and you're looking for that next RB to go. And I just scrolled down, and I saw no other running back go. So at this point, I'm like, oh, my gosh. So Roschon Johnson was the only running back selected in the fourth round? Wow, these backs literally didn't get the draft capital that we all wanted. That's one. Number two, the class is just so deep that some of these talented guys are going to continue to fall. So we're now in the fifth round, and the next running back to go is Israel Abenaconda, Great guy, great running back. I would have loved this guy on several different teams. This guy has a chance to be a workhorse, but I hated the landing spot. He goes to play with the Jets. He's going to be right behind Breece Hall and even Michael Carter, but I think he has a chance. He can beat out of Michael Carter. I think he's more talented than Michael Carter. He can do a lot, and Breece Hall is coming off of injury, and he's going to be a high-priced handcuff because Breece Hall is going to get the majority of the work. But if you have a Breece Hall, you want to make sure you have an easy Abinaconda on your squad to take away some of those, just to have depth. You want to have depth. I've been grabbing this guy in the middle to late third round, and now we're starting to go in the early fourth round of rookie drafts. That is so insane. That's so insane, and that's just so crazy to me. Now, we continue to move along. RB, what other RBs go here? So the next RB to go is Chase Brown from Illinois, goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a guy that could do something. We don't know what's going to happen with Joe Mixon this year. This is a guy that they're going to bring up. I'm loving me some Chase Brown. I'm grabbing Chase Brown everywhere I can in the 305 range. So, yes, I just wanted to make sure that Chase Brown was the next running back to get selected in the fifth round. And, yes, he was. So, he got the fifth-round draft capital. Goes to a great situation. Love the landing spot. I think he has a great chance to do some damage in that Bengals offense, especially if they don't bring back Joe Mixon, which I think they are, or if things don't go well, or if he gets hurt. He's another one of those handcuffs that could be something. So he's like what Khalil Herbert is, what Michael Carter was. You grab these guys, even Algier, you grab these guys, if they do well, then guess what? Things get better. So while I'm talking and doing this podcast right now, I'm actually working on a deal that's going to where I'm going to be trading away T. Higgins and picking up a Kyler Murray. So the guy wanted to send me Kyler Murray. He wanted T. Higgins. I put in a second round pick into it. Now he countered a 24 third plus Kyler Murray for T. Higgins. I'm going to smash accept because guess what? Although T. Higgins is a really good wide receiver, at the end of the day, he has not put up wide receiver one numbers. And if I'm getting a Kyler Murray, injured or not, just the point value it's just Kyler Murray. He's going to outscore T. Higgins. So give me Kyler Murray over T. Higgins all day long. So I just made a trade, breaking news, just traded T. Higgins for Kyler Murray and a 24 third. That's a trade that you take it and you run with it. All right, now moving on along. So Eric Gray gets drafted. Eric Gray from Oklahoma goes to the New York Giants. He's a really good running back. He's going to be the backup to Saquon Barkley. Then we don't know what happens with Saquon Barkley this year. So with that being said, I am excited for Eric Gray landing spot. I love it. I mean, he has a chance to come in, especially with how injury prone Saquon Barkley has been. So Eric Gray to the Giants. What round is this? This is sixth round, I believe. No, fifth round. So yeah, excellent draft capital. It's not the best draft capital, but in this deep draft, I will take that all day long with Eric Gray. I think he has a chance to carve out a role in that offense. Eric Gray is a very, very, very talented running back. So I'm excited to see him on the Giants. And then we don't know what happens with Saquon Barkley, if he gets a long-term deal, if he doesn't. Eric Gray can be somebody who is in the fold. And then if they don't draft anybody next year, he could be your Antonio Gibson type of guy who has that backfield for a couple of years. So all these Chase Browns and Eric Grays, grab some of these guys. And then the very next running back that I saw to get selected was, I believe it was Evan Hall. Did I skip Evan Hall? Let me scroll back up. I could have sworn I saw Evan Hall earlier. Let me just go ahead and start from the beginning one more time to kind of go through this list. So you had Izzy, who went at 143, right? Then as you scroll down some more, you have Chase Brown, who went at 163, I'm sorry. Then you keep going. Then you have Eric Gray at 172. And then, yes, the Colts, Evan Hall. I know I saw Evan Hall somewhere. So the Colts selected Evan Hall from Northwestern, solid back. at 176. He now potentially becomes the new handcuff. Yeah, I know that Zach Moss is there, but I mean, you grab you a Evan Hall later, and you just kind of stash him, and you kind of see what happens, especially with the way that Jonathan Taylor has been getting hurt recently. This guy could be the next best handcuff in football. This is kind of where guys like Alexander Madison are born. They're born literally as handcuffs. They were drafted late. You grab these guys late, sometimes undrafted in your rookie drafts, and then they become these handcuffs, like the Pollards of the world. These are the kind of guys you want to go ahead and grab in your rookie drafts. You stash them, you kind of wait through camp, look at rookie camp, look at the news, see what happens, and then kind of make your decision from there. The Commanders select Chris Rodriguez. I love him. He's a pounder. He's more so like a Brian Robinson. So he's more so of a Brian Robinson handcuff than he is a Antonio Gibson kind of guy. But this is a guy that you're going to stash on your team, on your roster. I don't know what's going to amount from him, being that he's a 6th round pick, but he could be a touchdown scorer. In any scenario where Brian Robinson gets hurt, Chris Rodriguez could give you some touchdown scoring potential. He's a bruiser. He's going to be used as such around the goal line and in short yardage. So I don't know what his value is, but you definitely want to grab him if you can. So scrolling down to kind of see what other – okay, so Deuce Vaughn, a smallish but talented back, goes to the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people are excited about Deuce Vaughn. I just cannot deal with the height and the size, so I've kind of like not grabbed me a Deuce Vaughn at all. So, yeah, that's that. Then the next guy was Zach Evans. I love this landing spot. So, 2 things here. Cam Akers survives the draft. Cam Akers is going to be the guy for the Rams, but do not sleep on Zach Evans. Zach Evans had a lot of talent. He's legit. Zach Evans is legit, and I'm grabbing Zach Evans late in the 3rd, sometimes in the 4th. He's a guy that I'm real intrigued by. He's a guy that should have gotten 3rd round draft capital at the least, and he goes in the 6th round. So you want to grab you some Zach Evans. You hold him. Then you kind of see what happens moving forward. So, yeah, I love the Zach Evans landing spot, one of my favorites of the entire draft. And then now we go to the 7th round. And I'm going to cover maybe a few undrafted free agents, just a few. So scrolling through, you have Dwayne McBride. He gets drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. If Dalvin Cook is to go, here is a guy in Dwayne McBride that could push Alexander Madison. I love Dwayne McBride more than I love Alexander Madison. So Dwayne McBride, very, very talented, but because of this deep draft, he fell to the 7th round. Let's keep scrolling. Another back here, Lou Nichols, very, very talented back. My guy Shilor put me on Lou Nichols. But what I can tell you guys is you want to stash this guy, put him on your taxi, and kind of watch that Green Bay backfield. Kind of see what happens to A.J. Dillon this year. Contract year, right? Kind of see what happens to Aaron Jones. He's a little older. So maybe Lou Nichols could be a guy that's waiting to be elevated up that depth chart. Another guy that gets drafted is right here in Kenny McIntosh from Georgia. After a poor combine and just look at him and you just kind of knew that he was going to fall. But he did get drafted. He didn't go undrafted, so he did get drafted. He went to the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to be a team where he has a chance to push for that 3rd running back on Seattle. Seattle loves these 7th round draft choices, these undrafted draft choices. That's kind of how they got Chris Carson, right? In the year they drafted Rashard Penny in the 1st round, boom, here comes Chris Carson, late round pick, and then he ends up being the better back of the 2. I'm not saying this is a scenario for Charbonnet, but you never know. If Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker gets hurt, you can easily see Kenny McIntosh climbing up that depth chart and being a valuable back. He's a talented back, but just didn't have the best combine. But yeah, he's a guy that I'm grabbing at the end of drafts or undrafted. You just grab him, you stash him, you kind of see where things go, because there are going to be backs this year that get hurt. You guys remember Breece Hall? Breece Hall did get hurt year 1, right? Knocking on wood. I don't want any of these guys to get hurt, but we just know the nature of the game. Football is a physical sport, and a lot of these running backs continue to get hurt. Now, that rounds up all of the running backs that got drafted in the NFL. A few guys that I like that did not get drafted, Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell ECU back, smallish back, but I believe he can be a 3-down back. I wholeheartedly believe he can be a 3-down back, even though he's a smallish back. Super talented. I believe he went to the Ravens, and with the Ravens, man, they bring in an influx of backs every single year with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. The way that their health has been the last few years, give me all the Keaton Mitchell. I'd rather have him on my roster. Get him on the front end and not the back end. There's going to be a time when you're going to need this guy on your roster, and then you're going to be crying and saying, oh, man, that's crazy guy. Manny told me to grab him. He was available for free. He was available in the 5th, 6th rounds of my rookie drafts. He was available as an undrafted free agent in my rookie drafts, after my rookie drafts, and I didn't grab this guy. It costs you nothing to grab him. You want to be in on the front end and not the back end. Also, Lou Nichols. We already talked about him. He's a guy that you want to go ahead and grab and stash. Like I said, my guy Shilor put me on him. Then there's one more, Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker goes undrafted more so because of health and not his talent. So he signed with Tampa Bay. He has Rashad White there, but it's like, if Rashad White was to get hurt, then where do you go? So he has a chance to kind of fight his way, get on that roster, even if it's a practice squad at first, whatever the case may be, he does have a shot. So that's the episode. Hopefully you guys, I'm hopeful that you guys enjoyed it. This is my RB landing spot. Some I liked, some I didn't like. Draft capital was rough and brutal for running backs, and then now in rookie drafts, it has affected everything, because now you see the first wave, right? After you get that Bijan Robinson and Gibbs, the drop-off is crazy based off of landing spot opportunity, the whole nine. Then there's that Zach Charbonnet and Devin Achane, right? Then the next guy is like a Kendre Miller. Then it kind of drops off again. Then you get into this fun section of the draft, in that middle section of the draft, that 205 to 211, to where you're seeing guys like Tajay Spears go. Then you're seeing the Roshan Johnsons and the Tank Bigsbys of the world, right? Those are the guys that kind of typically go in that second round. Then in the third round is a whole other wave. It used to be a guy like Izzy, but Izzy's fallen. So now in the third round, like around 305, you're seeing a Zach Evans go. You're seeing guys like Deuce Vaughn, and you're seeing guys like Evan Hall, Eric Gray. That's their section. And then it kind of tapers off again to a next tier, which is where you see Izzy, a Benaconda go. Then you see a Sean Tucker. Folks are taking their dart throws at Sean Tucker. Give me all the Sean Tuckers, right? So you're getting him in that fourth round. And then everything else after that is just kind of like, whatever, like the Keaton Mitchells of the world, the Lou Nichols of the world, and just kind of whoever else that you preference or whoever else that you like. There's tons of guys that have gotten signed elsewhere, but these are the ones that kind of jumped out to me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the Dynasty Overload YouTube channel. Check out the Talking Sports with Manny podcast. And please also check out the Dynasty Overload podcast. I will catch you guys on that next episode. I'm out. Peace.